Dodge has never been shy about building loud, wild, and overpowered machines, and that reputation didn't stop with its muscle cars. Long before the term muscle truck became trendy, Dodge was quietly turning its pickups into street warriors, drag strip terrors, and highway legends. But here's the twist. Most of these monsters didn't last, whether due to rising fuel prices, shifting buyer tastes, or being simply too crazy for their time. Here are 9 insane Dodge-built pickup trucks that flexed hard and then faded into history.
Dear viewer, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Thanks for your support.
Number 9, the 1976 Dodge Warlock, one of the most striking and underappreciated specialty pickups of the 1970s. By the mid-1970s, American automakers began to realize that trucks weren't just for farmers and contractors anymore. Consumers were starting to buy pickups for personal use, weekend fun, and as a statement of style. Dodge, ever the bold risk-taker, saw an opportunity to reimagine the humble work truck as something flashier, funkier, and more expressive. Enter the 1976 Dodge Warlock, one of the earliest attempts to turn a pickup truck into a lifestyle vehicle. Brash, colorful, and unapologetically unique, the Warlock was part of Dodge's so-called adult toys lineup, a short-lived but fascinating experiment in truck culture. In 1976, Dodge introduced a series of limited edition trucks marketed not just as utility vehicles, but as personal statement pieces. These included trucks like the Warlock, Lil Red Express, and Midnight Express, high-style machines aimed at younger buyers who wanted something different. The adult toys branding was controversial but clear. These trucks were for fun, not work. The Warlock was more than just a dressed-up pickup. It had an aesthetic all its own, standing out even in an era of wild designs. Custom colors included black, red, green, and blue with contrasting gold pinstriping and accents. Unique gold wheels, chrome step bumpers, and fat rear tires gave it a muscular stance. A chrome-topped oak wood bed rail and custom tailgate chains gave it an old-school, hot rod meets Wild West vibe. A small Warlock decal adorned the rear quarter panel, understated compared to its looks. Inside, the Warlock often featured a custom steering wheel, carpeted floors, and high-back bucket seats, unusual for trucks of the era. Trimmed in black with gold accents, the interior echoed the flamboyant theme of the exterior. Available engines included the 225 slant-6, 318 V8, 360 V8, and 400 big block V8, with some later models offering the 440 Magnum. Though not quite a muscle truck like the later Lil Red Express, a V8-equipped Warlock could still move with authority. Transmission options included a 3-speed manual, 4-speed manual, and 3-speed automatic. The short wheelbase 4x2 and 4x4 configurations gave it better than average handling and off-road manners. The Warlock was one of the first pickups deliberately marketed for style over function, setting the stage for later trucks like the Chevy SSR and Ford Lightning. However, it launched during a challenging market. The 1973 oil crisis was still fresh in buyers' minds. Gas-guzzling V8s were losing popularity amid rising fuel costs. Pickup buyers in the mid-70s were still more practical than emotional. The Warlock was just too far ahead of its time. Initial sales were lukewarm at best. The Warlock remained available through 1979, but only in small numbers. It was ultimately overshadowed by the 1978 Lil Red Express, which had more performance and flashier marketing. By 1980, the adult toys program was effectively dead, with rising insurance rates, emissions controls, and changing tastes putting the final nails in the coffin. Today, the Warlock is a cult classic among Mopar enthusiasts. Surviving models are rare and collectible, especially those with big block engines and original trim. Dodge resurrected the Warlock name briefly in 2019 for a special edition Ram 1500, a direct nod to the 1976 original, though without the same hand-built charm or wild personality. In retrospect, the Warlock helped redefine what a pickup could be. Not just a tool, but a toy, a statement, and an experience. The 1976 Dodge Warlock was more than a truck. It was an attitude. It challenged the notion that pickups had to be boring, utilitarian boxes. With its bold paint, fat tires, and show truck styling, it tried to sell fun at a time when buyers were more concerned with gas mileage than gold trim. Though it never found widespread success, the Warlock deserves credit for being one of the first lifestyle trucks, a pioneer that paved the way for a future where personal expression would become a key part of truck design. Number 8, the 1990 Dodge Ram Rod Hall Signature Edition, a nearly forgotten but fascinating piece of Mopar off-road history. In the world of off-road racing, Rod Hall was a legend, a dominant force in events like the Baja 1000. Hall built his name piloting Mopar trucks across brutal desert terrain and winning. So in 1990, Dodge honored his legacy with a special, ultra-rare production truck, the Rod Hall Signature Edition Dodge Ram 150. This wasn't just a badge job, it was a factory-backed, performance-themed tribute to Hall's dominance in off-road racing, with custom graphics, upgraded suspension, and exclusive features. But with just 30 or fewer units reportedly built, the Rod Hall Edition quietly disappeared, overlooked by the very market it tried to appeal to. Rod Hall was synonymous with Dodge in the off-road world during the 1980s and 90s. He became the only driver to win the Baja 1000 overall in a four-wheel drive vehicle, 1969, and he kept racing Mopar vehicles well into his 80s. Dodge wisely saw marketing potential in this and chose to release a signature truck for enthusiasts and collectors. The Rod Hall Edition started as a 1990 Dodge Ram 150 short bed 4x4, but Dodge didn't just add stickers and call it a day. Signature tricolor racing stripes, red, orange, and yellow, evoked Rod Hall's Desert Racers. A unique Rod Hall Signature Edition decal graced the fenders, equipped with a brush guard, fog lights, and off-road lights mounted to the roll bar. Factory roll bar in the bed added a rugged, aggressive look. Off-road tires mounted on black wheels enhanced the Desert Racer appearance. Most came with a plush velour interior in gray or burgundy. Special dash plaque signed by Rod Hall himself on some units. Air conditioning, tilt wheel, and cruise control were common. This was still a premium truck for its time. Powered by the venerable 5.2-liter, 318 cubic inch V8, producing around 170 horsepower. Not huge by modern standards, but respectable for 1990. Backed by a TorqueFlite 3-speed automatic or manual transmission in rare cases. Featured upgraded shocks and suspension tuning to handle rough terrain. A limited-slip rear differential and part-time four-wheel drive gave it real off-road capability. It wasn't a race truck, but it was certainly race-inspired, and much more than just cosmetics. Only 30 to 32 trucks were ever made, depending on sources. Many sold through select Dodge dealers in the western U.S. Some believe a few more may have been built as promotional vehicles or regional orders, but fewer than 35 total is the generally accepted figure. Not officially listed in Dodge's national brochures, this was a dealer-driven special edition with minimal factory marketing. Several reasons explain why the Rod Hall Signature Edition faded into obscurity. In 1990, the idea of a performance or signature pickup hadn't caught fire. Buyers wanted trucks for work or basic transportation, not off-road prestige. This was before the Ford SVT Lightning or the Cyclone made sport trucks cool. The Ram design hadn't changed since 1981. By 1990, it looked outdated. Sales of Dodge pickups were sluggish compared to Ford and GM. The Warlock, Lil Red Express, and other Dodge experiments were long gone. Dodge did little to promote the Rod Hall Edition. Most people never knew it existed, and even dealers struggled to sell them. Today, the Rod Hall Edition is an ultra-rare collector item. Finding one in original condition, with the graphics, roll bar, lights, and plaque, is exceptionally difficult. Some have been repainted or stripped for parts, and others lost to rust or off-road abuse. For Mopar fans and truck collectors, it's one of the most elusive Dodge pickups ever built. Rod Hall passed away in 2019, but his legacy remains strong in off-road circles. Dodge, now Ram, continues to honor its performance heritage with models like the Ram TRX, but none are quite as personal or obscure as the 1990 Rod Hall truck. Enthusiasts hope the brand might revisit this kind of special edition in the future, but few expect anything quite so rare. Number 7, the 1997 Dodge Dakota RT prototype. An early but largely forgotten step in the evolution of American sport trucks. In the late 1990s, Dodge was busy reinventing itself as the bold, brash performance brand of the Big Three: Vipers, Ram Tough, Neon ACRs. But quietly behind the scenes, Dodge was also working on something smaller, meaner, and in many ways more radical: a V8-powered mid-size sport truck. That idea came to life in raw pre-production form as the 1997 Dodge Dakota RT prototype, a no-nonsense test mule with a 5.9-liter Magnum V8, aggressive styling cues, and muscle car attitude packed into a pickup body. Though it was never sold in this prototype form, the 1997 RT set the stage for the 1998 production model and helped redefine the midsize truck segment. Let's explore how. By 1997, pickup trucks were already shifting from purely utilitarian tools into personal use vehicles with style and personality. Ford had the Lightning, Chevrolet had the 454 SS, recently discontinued. Dodge, post-Viper, had credibility to burn and a desire to bring some of that firepower into the pickup world. But unlike Ford's full-size performance trucks, Dodge had another idea: bring V8 muscle to the midsize market. And they had the perfect platform for it: the all-new second-generation Dodge Dakota. The 1997 Dakota redesign introduced a sleeker, more modern body with a strong resemblance to the full-size Ram. It had a stiffer frame, modernized interior, room for larger power plants, a Goldilocks size, bigger than compact trucks, smaller than full-size pickups. Dodge engineers immediately saw the potential, and so the RT prototype was born, not as a polished consumer product, but as a test bed for something bolder. Let's get into what made this prototype unique. Equipped with a 5.9-liter Magnum VI 8,360 cubic inches, estimated output 250 to 260 horsepower with 345 pound-feet of torque, mated to a 4-speed automatic, likely the 46RE, rear-wheel drive only, built for street dominance, not off-road duty. Early suspension tuning focused on lowering the ride height, stiffening the shocks, and improving road manners. This was muscle car DNA in a pickup body, a total departure from the 4-cylinder and 3.9-liter V6 base models. Wider wheels and fat performance tires, body-colored bumpers and grille for a cleaner, sportier look. Dual exhaust setup with a throaty rumble. Lowered stance and slightly flared fenders, more menacing than any Dakota before it. Some test versions had prototype RT badging, but often these trucks were kept anonymous during development. Though never sold to the public, a few hand-built examples made it into Dodge's press fleet or internal testing circuits and left strong impressions. The prototype was promising, but Dodge knew it needed some refinement before production. Ride quality needed to be dialed in for everyday driving. Emissions and noise standards had to be met. The prototype was loud and raw. Cost control and parts sourcing had to be standardized. So Dodge took the concept, refined it, and launched the production version, the 1998 Dakota RT, a year later. It retained most of the prototype's DNA but had more polish. When it arrived in 1998, the Dakota RT became one of the most beloved sport trucks of the late 90s. 5.9-liter V8 carried over from the prototype, available in regular cab or club cab formats. More refined suspension and interior. Real-world 0 to 60 times in the 6.5 to 7.0 second range. Very quick for a truck. Instantly became a cult favorite, especially among Mopar performance fans. But make no mistake, the 1997 prototype laid the groundwork for all of it. While the production Dakota RT enjoys growing collector status today, the prototype is almost entirely forgotten. Very few photos or confirmed units exist, likely fewer than 5 complete mules. Most were destroyed after testing or stripped down by engineers. If a prototype survives today, It's an incredibly rare artifact of Dodge performance history, but its legacy lives on in every lowered, V8-powered Dakota RT still prowling the streets. Number 6. The 1989 Dodge Dakota convertible. One of the strangest experiments in pickup truck history. In the automotive world, some ideas make total sense. Others make you stop and say. The 1989 Dodge Dakota convertible falls into the latter category. Yes, it was a real factory-built convertible pickup truck. And no, it wasn't a joke or an aftermarket conversion. Dodge actually took their mid-sized truck, chopped the roof, and tried to sell it as a lifestyle vehicle. The result? A weird, underpowered, low-selling oddity that's mostly forgotten today, but still worth examining as a fascinating footnote in truck history. Let's explore how this topless pickup came to be, what made it unique, and why it ultimately flopped. By the late 1980s, the truck market was booming, but shifting. Compact and mid-sized pickups were gaining popularity for personal use, not just work. Manufacturers were experimenting with style and sport packages to appeal to younger buyers. Dodge was already producing the Dodge Dakota, launched in 1987 as a new mid-size alternative that wasn't as tiny as the Toyota or Chevy S10. But Dodge, always willing to take a risk, wanted to go a step further. If sport trucks were becoming a thing, why not go all in and create something no one else had? A convertible pickup truck, the first factory one since the Ford Model A Roadster pickup of the 1930s. The idea for a topless truck didn't come from Dodge alone. ASC, American Sunroof Company, the same firm responsible for various convertible conversions, proposed the idea. Dodge gave it the green light and had ASC convert standard Dakota Sport models by removing the roof and adding a manually operated soft top. The conversion was done before final delivery, but it was factory authorized and sold through Dodge dealers with full warranty. Production began in 1989, making it the first modern convertible pickup sold in America. Based on the Dakota Sport regular cab short bed truck. Roof was removed and replaced with a black folding soft top, manually operated, no power mechanism. A fixed roll bar was added behind the seats for structural rigidity and rollover protection. Side windows were retained, and door frames remained upright, giving it an awkward, quasi-Jeep-like appearance. Standard engine, 2.5-liter inline-4, only about 99 horsepower. Let that sink in. Optional, 3.9-liter V6, which helped but still wasn't sporty by any real standard. Transmission, 5-speed manual or 4-speed automatic. Rear-wheel drive only. No off-road packages, no 4-wheel drive, just urban cruiser vibes, only offered in sport trim, so it got body-colored bumpers, rally wheels, and tape stripes. Interior was basic. Manual everything, vinyl or cloth bench seat. A fiberglass tonneau cover was optional to clean up the bed area. The Dakota convertible was never meant to be a volume seller, but even by modest standards, it flopped. Only about 2,842 units were sold in 1989. Around 909 were sold in 1990, the final year. Why did it fail? Confused identity, not sporty enough to attract muscle car fans, not practical enough for truck buyers, not off-road capable like a Jeep Wrangler. High price, MSRP was close to $15,000. Not cheap for the time, especially for a novelty. Low performance. Even with the V6, it was no speed demon, and the 4-cylinder version was painfully slow. Awkward styling. Many found the upright windshield and squared-off cab awkward when the roof was down. Weatherproofing issues. The soft top wasn't well sealed, leading to leaks and wind noise. In short, it was a truck that nobody really asked for, and Dodge stopped production after just 2 model years. Today, the Dakota convertible has become a cult curiosity among Mopar fans and weird car collectors. Surviving examples are rare. Many were junked due to rust, leaks, or neglect. But it's one of the weirdest and most distinctive trucks of the 1980s. It paved the way for future lifestyle trucks, even if not directly. The idea of a fun, personal use pickup became popular later with models like the Chevy SSR, Honda Ridgeline, and even the Hyundai Santa Cruz. In hindsight, Dodge was simply too far ahead and too weird for its own good. Number 5. The 1982 Dodge Rampage 2.2. Chrysler's compact answer to the El Camino that came and went in a blur of weirdness and underwhelming performance. In the early 1980s, American automakers were facing a triple threat: the aftermath of the oil crisis, rising fuel economy standards, and a new generation of buyers looking for affordable, practical, and sporty vehicles. Into this landscape, Dodge introduced a car-truck hybrid that aimed to blend the best of all worlds: the 1982 Dodge Rampage 2.2. It had a bed like a pickup. It had front-wheel drive and car-like handling like a compact. And it tried to channel the rugged attitude of the El Camino, but without the muscle. The result? A curious experiment that struggled to find its place and quietly disappeared after a few short years. Today we'll dissect how the Rampage was born, what it offered, and why it failed to leave a lasting mark. By 1982, the Chevy El Camino and Ford Ranchero were fading. Both had been full-sized muscle truck icons in the 60s and 70s, but the performance era was dying, and the economy was king. Chrysler saw a niche. What if you built a small, fuel-efficient, car-based pickup for urban use in light hauling? The Rampage would be based on the L-body platform, shared with the Dodge Omni and Plymouth Horizon, cheap, compact, and front-wheel drive. It wasn't the first time Mopar tried something weird. Remember the 1981 Plymouth Arrow truck? Yeah, neither does most of America. The Dodge Rampage had the silhouette of a shrunken El Camino, but none of the muscle. Front end borrowed heavily from the Dodge Omni 024/Charger, with poppy, angular 1980s lines. The pickup bed was small, about 5 feet long, and really only useful for light loads, not serious work. Unibody construction with no separate frame, which made it more car than truck. Curb weight hovered just over 2,400 pounds, so it was nimble, at least on paper. Overall, it was a car pretending to be a truck, or maybe a truck pretending to be a sporty hatchback. Either way, buyers weren't quite sure what to make of it. The 1982 model year brought a significant upgrade: the 2.2-liter inline-4 engine. This engine replaced the wheezy 1.7L VW-sourced 4 used in the previous year. Output: 84 horsepower and 111 pound-feet of torque. Respectable for a subcompact, but underwhelming for a vehicle marketed with performance styling. Transmission: 4-speed manual was standard, with a 3-speed automatic optional. It could sprint from 0 to 60 miles per hour in, eventually, around 12 to 13 seconds. In essence, the Rampage 2.2 looked like it wanted to race, but drove like it was still stuck in a parking lot. There were performance trims, like sport stripes, spoilers, and mag wheels. But these were mostly cosmetic. Dodge didn't really know who to market the Rampage to. It wasn't strong or big enough for work truck buyers. It wasn't fast or aggressive enough for performance enthusiasts. It was too unusual looking for conservative sedan buyers. And it didn't have the cult status of the El Camino, which could at least fall back on muscle car nostalgia. Dodge tried to sell it as a lifestyle vehicle. Haul it like a truck, drive it like a car, was the theme. Ads showed surfboards, BMX bikes, and denim-clad 20-somethings, but it never clicked with the mainstream. The 1982 model year sold about 17,636 units, a modest figure but not disastrous. However, interest declined quickly as the novelty wore off, and buyers opted for more conventional small trucks like the Chevy S10, Ford Ranger, or Toyota pickup. By 1984, the Rampage was gone, after just 3 years of production. To add insult to injury, its badge-engineered twin, the Plymouth Scamp, was even rarer and shorter-lived. Discontinued after just 1 year, 1983. Today, the 1982 Dodge Rampage 2.2 is a forgotten oddball, but that gives it a kind of quirky charm. A rare survivor from Chrysler's front-wheel drive early 80s experiment era. Enthusiasts occasionally build turbocharged versions, borrowing powertrains from later Dodge Shelby cars. It's developed a cult following among Mopar fans and 1980s nostalgia collectors. Prices remain low, and parts can be hard to find. But for a dedicated few, The Rampage represents a fun, offbeat project car. Number 4, the 2004 Dodge Ram Bumblebee, a short-lived but bold experiment in retro-themed muscle truck styling. In the early 2000s, nostalgia was everywhere in the auto industry. From retro-styled Mustangs to reborn Chargers, Detroit automakers were rediscovering their muscle car roots. Dodge, always known for bold design and aggressive marketing, decided to inject that spirit into its full-size pickup lineup. And the result was the 2004 Dodge Ram Bumblebee. It was loud, brash, and unmistakably yellow, a high-performance HEMI-powered truck that borrowed styling cues from the classic Dodge Super Bee muscle car of the late 1960s and early 70s. Built to stand out, it succeeded at that, but not much more. Today, the Bumblebee is a footnote in truck history, rare, flamboyant, and gone almost as quickly as it appeared. In the late 1990s and early 2000s, pickups were no longer just tools for work. They were becoming lifestyle vehicles. Buyers wanted more: luxury interiors, performance-focused trims, visual personality. Ford had the SVT Lightning, Chevrolet introduced the Silverado SS, and Dodge, never one to be outshouted, had already begun experimenting with performance trucks. Before the Bumblebee, Dodge had debuted the Dodge Ram SRT-10, a Viper-powered monster. The Bumblebee was something different, not track-focused, but style-focused, all about looks, attitude, and that classic Mopar muscle aesthetic. The 2004 Dodge Ram Bumblebee was based on the Dodge Ram 1500 regular cab, short bed 4x2 or 4x4 configuration, but with a host of visual upgrades that made it pop. Bright solar yellow paint with a bold black Bumblebee stripe running down the flanks and bed, mimicking the classic Super Bee graphics from 1968 to 71. A C-pillar stripe with a retro-looking B badge, directly inspired by Dodge's late 60s muscle cars. 20-inch chrome-clad wheels, giving it a street rod stance. A unique front fascia, painted bumpers, and body-colored grille. Limited edition numbered dash plaque, giving each Bumblebee its own collector's identity. The Bumblebee looked like it had buzzed out of a Hot Wheels package. It was dramatic, flashy, and unmistakable. And that was entirely the point. This wasn't just a cosmetic package. The Bumblebee had real power under the hood. It came standard with Dodge's 5.7-liter Hemi V8, producing 345 horsepower and 375 pound-feet of torque. Mated to a 5-speed automatic transmission, the Hemi gave it a strong mid-range punch and a satisfying rumble. A specially tuned exhaust system added extra growl to the soundtrack. The rumble in Bumblebee was more than marketing hype. Though not as fast as the SRT-10, it was one of the quicker full-size trucks of its time, and it looked the part too. The Bumblebee wasn't built to be a track machine. It was all about attitude, presence, and that Mopar muscle flavor in pickup form. Dodge produced the Bumblebee for only 2 model years, 2004 and 2005. In total, only about 8,700 units were produced across both years, around 4,000 in 2004. Slightly more than 4,000 in 2005. 2 color options were offered: solar yellow, most common and iconic; black, more understated, still with B graphics. The truck was only available in a single cab, short bed layout, keeping with its muscle car vibe. 2 doors, rear drive, or 4x4, no fluff. Each Bumblebee had a limited edition dash badge with its production number, adding collector appeal. Enthusiasts were excited by the Bumblebee's looks, but not everyone was impressed. Performance purists criticized it for lacking the outrageous power of the SRT-10. Truck traditionalists weren't sure what to make of a muscle-themed pickup. Buyers who wanted utility looked elsewhere. The short bed and regular cab limited practicality. Still, it sold reasonably well for a niche model, and it gave Dodge a much-needed marketing jolt during a time when trucks were increasingly about lifestyle and identity. But by 2006, tastes were shifting again, and Dodge quietly discontinued the Bumblebee without much fanfare. Number 3, the 2005 Dodge Ram Daytona, a bold-looking truck that borrowed heavily from muscle car styling, but ultimately proved to be more about show than performance. In the mid-2000s, Dodge was deep into its love affair with heritage design. After the success of the retro-themed Rumble Bee, Dodge decided to dig even deeper into its muscle car roots. The result was the 2005 Dodge Ram Daytona, a full-size pickup truck inspired by the legendary 1969 Dodge Charger Daytona, complete with wing, stripes, and attitude. But while the original Charger Daytona was a NASCAR-dominating speed demon, the Ram Daytona was mostly visual drama. It had the looks, it had the name. But when it came time to back it up with performance, it fell flat. A classic case of all show, no go. To understand the Ram Daytona, you need to go back to 1969, when Dodge launched the original Charger Daytona as a homologation special to dominate NASCAR. It had a huge aerodynamic nose cone, a towering rear wing, a drag coefficient so low it was the first NASCAR vehicle to exceed 200 miles per hour. This vehicle became an icon of performance and outlandish design. Fast forward to 2005, and Dodge resurrected the name for its Ram 1500 pickup, hoping to transfer some of that high-speed swagger into a lifestyle truck. Unfortunately, the performance didn't come along for the ride. The 2005 Dodge Ram Daytona was styled to impress, and it absolutely delivered in terms of road presence. Key features included a massive go-wing rear spoiler mounted on the tailgate, echoing the Charger Daytona's signature look, though more cosmetic than aerodynamic. A unique body-colored front grille, hood scoop, and lower air dam. Bold Daytona stripes down the sides of the bed and across the tailgate. Two exclusive colors: Go Mango Orange, Silver Metallic. 20-inch chrome wheels and monochromatic paintwork gave it a sporty, aggressive edge. A limited edition number plaque on the dash added a collector's flair. Visually, it was one of the most distinctive trucks on the road, and Dodge made sure it looked like it meant business. Despite the aggressive looks and NASCAR-inspired branding, the Ram Daytona didn't offer anything new under the hood. Powered by the 5.7-liter Hemi V8, delivering 345 horsepower and 375 pound-feet of torque, paired with a 5-speed automatic transmission, 0 to 60 miles per hour time of around 7.0 to 7.5 seconds. Quick for a truck, but far from a muscle machine, offered in 4x2 or 4x4 configurations. While the Hemi was respectable, it was the same engine found in any other Ram 1500 of the era. No upgraded internals, no performance tuning, no exhaust note to match the attitude. The Daytona package was purely aesthetic, and that became a sticking point for enthusiasts. Inside, the Ram Daytona wasn't radically different from a standard Ram 1500 SLT or Laramie. Features included cloth or optional leather seats, Daytona embroidery in headrests, a special numbered dash badge, standard Mopar radio and HVAC controls, roomy quad cab configuration for most units. The experience was comfortable and well-equipped for a 2005 truck, but not groundbreaking. Dodge banked on exterior drama, not interior luxury or tech. The Ram Daytona was produced in limited quantities from 2005 to early 2006, with only around 10,000 units made. Dodge didn't promote it heavily after the initial buzz wore off. Most buyers appreciated the looks, but didn't see a reason to pay more for what was, underneath, a regular Hemi Ram. Without performance upgrades, it failed to attract muscle truck enthusiasts. By mid-2006, the Daytona quietly disappeared from Dodge's truck lineup. It was a victim of unmet expectations, promising power and heritage, but delivering little more than decals and a spoiler. The Ram Daytona got attention, but not necessarily admiration. Bold design that turned heads. Great road presence, collector potential due to low production numbers, solid Hemi reliability. Performance didn't match the aggressive looks. The spoiler was largely seen as gimmicky. Price premium not justified without mechanical upgrades. Fuel economy concerns during a time of rising gas prices. Number 2, the 1990 Dodge Dakota Sport Convertible 4x4 prototype. A unique experiment in blending open-air leisure with rugged off-road capability. This one-off truck reflected the bold, unconventional spirit of Dodge in the late 1980s and early 90s. By the late 1980s, Dodge was in the middle of a brand identity shift. Under the guidance of then Chrysler CEO Lee Iacocca, the company was willing to take risks to stand out. And nowhere was that more evident than in the Dodge Dakota. In 1989, Dodge made headlines with the Dakota convertible, the only factory-built convertible pickup sold in America at the time. But while that model was already strange by truck standards, Dodge's engineers went one step further in 1990. They created a single prototype that combined convertible flair with four-wheel drive capability, calling it the 1990 Dodge Dakota Sport Convertible 4x4 prototype. It never reached production, but its existence is a fascinating window into a time when American automakers weren't afraid to get a little wild. Let's rewind to 1989. That year, Dodge released the Dakota convertible, built in partnership with American Sunroof Corporation, ASC. This wasn't a hacked-up aftermarket job. It was a factory-authorized soft-top truck, something not seen since the earliest days of open-cab pickups in the 1930s. It was available only in two-wheel drive, and it aimed to appeal to young buyers, sun chasers, and Jeep fans who wanted more utility. It was a niche product, but it got people talking. Encouraged by the novelty, but also aware of its limitations, Dodge took it a step further by creating a 4x4 version. The 1990 Dodge Dakota Sport Convertible 4x4 was an experimental vehicle, not sold to the public, and only one was built. Key features included convertible soft top like the two-wheel drive model, courtesy of ASC four-wheel drive drivetrain, a major departure from the standard Dakota convertible. Likely powered by Dodge's 3.9-liter V6, the most common engine in mid-tier Dakotas at the time. Based on the Dakota Sport trim, which included body-colored bumpers, upgraded wheels and sport graphics, full off-road running gear, transfer case, higher ride height, and likely all-terrain tires. This prototype was Dodge's answer to a question nobody had asked yet. What if a convertible truck could also go off-roading? The 4x4 convertible Dakota was built around two clashing ideas: open-air fun and leisure, mud plowing utility and durability. This created some practical challenges. The soft top didn't offer much insulation or weather protection, a serious issue for a truck potentially used in rugged environments. Structural rigidity was always a concern in a body-on-frame convertible, even more so with the added demands of off-road driving. Water intrusion, noise, and roof maintenance became issues in rough terrain. But in terms of spirit, it was undeniably cool, the kind of surf meets mountain vehicle that predated the lifestyle branding of modern SUVs like the Bronco Sport or Jeep Gladiator Mojave. Despite the bold styling and adventurous premise, there were multiple reasons the 4x4 Dakota convertible never made it past the prototype phase. The regular Dakota convertible, 1989 to 1991, sold fewer than 4,000 units over its run. It was viewed more as a novelty than a practical vehicle. If the standard version struggled to find buyers, a more expensive 4x4 variant seemed like an even tougher sell. Converting the Dakota into a structurally sound 4x4 convertible required significant re-engineering, strengthening the chassis, protecting the drivetrain from elements, and fitting a soft top added complexity and cost. In 1990, truck buyers wanted toughness, SUV buyers wanted space, and convertible buyers wanted fun. There was little overlap. A convertible 4x4 truck was too niche for dealers to explain, let alone sell. Convertibles were already under scrutiny for safety concerns. Combined with tightening emissions laws for trucks, this oddball offering had too many obstacles. The idea of a convertible off-roader wasn't wrong. It just wasn't right yet. The Jeep Wrangler, a convertible 4x4 that's been a consistent seller, the modern Ford Bronco, which offers both convertibility and ruggedness. The Jeep Gladiator, a truck-based convertible off-roader that the market finally embraced. Number 1, the 1984 Dodge Ramcharger Prospector, an SUV that blurred the line between truck and off-road sport utility. A heavy-duty beast with a custom truck bed twist that became a rare niche oddity in the 1980s. By 1984, the American automotive market was in the midst of a transition. Station wagons were declining, trucks were evolving, and the term SUV had not yet become the cultural juggernaut it is today. Amidst this shift stood the 1984 Dodge Ramcharger, particularly the Prospector trim, a vehicle designed for rugged performance, off-road strength, and cabin comfort. But it had an unusual fate. Though technically an SUV, the Ramcharger Prospector was often converted by custom shops into a short bed pickup, creating an unusual hybrid, an SUV with a truck bed. The Ramcharger had been Dodge's answer to the Chevrolet Blazer and Ford Bronco since 1974. It was based on Dodge's D-Series pickup frame and used similar components, especially in the drivetrain and suspension. By 1984, the Ramcharger had become a more refined beast, retained its short wheelbase for tight off-road maneuvering. Available with a range of V8s, the most common being the 318, 5.2-liter, and 360, 5.9-liter engines. Four-wheel drive models were rugged and used proven, heavy-duty parts. Optional luxury touches included power windows, air conditioning, and plush seats in the Prospector trim. While still a brute under the skin, the Ramcharger was slowly becoming more civilized. Part trail vehicle, part personal cruiser. The Prospector name was used across Dodge trucks and SUVs as a mid to high trim level, not just a special edition. On the Ramcharger, the Prospector package typically added two-tone paint and exterior striping, chrome bumpers and mirrors, upgraded interior upholstery, wood grain dash accents, enhanced sound insulation, optional alloy wheels and exterior badges. It was Dodge's way of giving the Ramcharger a touch of class, without stripping away the brawn. This made it attractive to buyers who wanted utility and comfort in one vehicle. While Dodge never offered a factory Ramcharger pickup variant, third-party customizers stepped in to fill that gap, particularly in the American Southwest. These conversions often involved removing the rear roof section, cutting and welding a pickup-style rear bed, reinforcing the frame and body structure, modifying the rear suspension, and lighting to meet safety standards. The result was a Ramcharger with the cabin space of an SUV up front and the open utility of a short bed truck in the back. Some builds retained 4x4 capability, while others emphasized style over function. These conversions were usually done on Prospector trims because they already came with nicer interiors and eye-catching exteriors. The name alone, Prospector, evoked a rugged, frontier-ready image that meshed perfectly with the idea of a custom hybrid vehicle. Even in stock SUV form, the 1984 Ramcharger Prospector packed serious muscle. V8 engines. The 318 and 360 cubic inch V8s produced enough torque for towing, off-roading, or dune crawling. Transmission. Most were equipped with Chrysler's 3-speed torque flight automatic or a 4-speed manual. Dodge D system. Part-time 4-wheel drive with locking hubs or full-time 4-wheel drive in later models made them trail-worthy. Suspension. Heavy-duty leaf springs front and rear. Better suited for rough terrain than suburban cruising. Once converted to a pickup, the Ramcharger's short wheelbase and high center of gravity made it a little awkward as a true hauler, but it looked aggressive, and that was enough for many buyers. While the Ramcharger had a dedicated following, it was always a third-place player behind the Blazer and Bronco. The custom pickup versions were even more niche, and there were several reasons for their short-lived popularity. These weren't factory-built. They were custom shop creations with higher costs and unknown long-term durability. Custom bodywork raised questions about safety, emissions, and insurance classification. By the mid-1980s, consumers began gravitating toward true four-door SUVs like the Jeep Cherokee, XJ, and Ford Explorer. In the early 90s, custom jobs became less appealing than reliable factory options. With big block V8s and boxy aerodynamics, converted Ramchargers were gas guzzlers, a liability during a period of rising fuel concerns.